Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. My 26 male's stepbrother, 28 male, and I have not always been on good terms, and it was largely caused by his mother. My stepmother was my father's first wife, but they divorced after my stepbrother was born, and my dad met and married my mom. With the help of my mom, he was able to get a steady job, and he bought the house I was born in. Sadly, my mom passed away 2 years after my birth, so my dad reconnected and married my stepmom. Although we had a fairly stable relationship, my stepmom would occasionally pitch my brother against me, acting as if we competed. She always made sure he got the best of everything, while I got leftovers. On more than one occasion, I was denied things like toys, games, camps, and even party invitations, because my stepbrother didn't get them. I endured all of these until she did the worst. When she learned that I got accepted into my dream college, she began scheming up ways to prevent me from going to college, with her excuse being that my stepbrother would be hurt if I went to a better college. He attended a community college. I was mad at her excuse because my brother's poor academic performances was what led to his situation, while I worked really hard and got a 75% scholarship to the college I intended to attend. My stepmom threw massive tantrums, practically forced my dad to bend to her will, accused me of being a troublemaker, and made the house uncomfortable for me. My dad never defended me from her antics and even tried convincing me to accept the cheaper option so she would be happy. I refused to do so and ran away from home when I could no longer bear the heat. Unfortunately, my uncle and aunt greatly assisted me. This event hurt my relationship with my dad. I severed contact with all of them, and I barely visited home. My dad and I reconnected before I graduated, and he sincerely apologized for his inactions. I know he did it because he didn't want to look partial and he deeply regretted his actions, so I forgave him. We met regularly but kept everything a secret. My dad died some weeks ago, and after his funeral, we gathered to hear his will. Turns out, Dad willed everything to me. He made it known that he was leaving the house for me alone, as it is the result of the combined effort of him and my biological mom. My stepmom went hysterical when she heard this. She couldn't believe Dad left her and her son homeless and penniless. She argued that my father must have been out of his mind to do so, since he never loved me and that I ran away from home. She threatened to challenge the will, accusing the lawyer of forgery. She repeatedly said that my stepbrother deserved the house because he is my father's child too, and the one my father loves the most. This triggered memories of their actions in the past. I never forgave my stepmom for all that she did to me, and her words made me furious. I asked her why she badly wanted the house when she contributed nothing to acquire it. I reminded her that it was joint efforts from my mom and my dad, and she had no right to lay claim. It was a back-and-forth situation with my stepbrother siding with his mom. She tried to push me out of the house, saying I was a prodigal son, hoping to reap what I did not labor for. My stepbrother said I was an intruder and that I was no longer welcome. He even called me an outcast. So I left and I served them eviction papers the moment I could, with a strict warning to vacate the house before the end of the month. I'd rather rent the house to strangers than let them live there. Now, am I the a-hole for doing this? Update. My stepmom in her obstinacy decided to stay put, and since my brother does all that she says, he also stayed with her. So I called the cops on them by the end of the deadline to evict them. They ended up getting evicted by the cops. I've decided to change all the locks this weekend. I plan to convert it to an Airbnb so I'd be able to maintain the house. Thank you. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your stepmom is. The house belongs to your mom and your dad. Understandably, your dad gave you ownership of the house because of your mom, but I think he also did it to make up for the things he did or didn't do in the past. If only your stepmom didn't treat you badly, she might still have a roof over her head by now. She and your stepbrother have no claim on the house. Your dad was supposed to take care of them, but apparently even he didn't see the need to put them in his will. You did the right thing by evicting them. Your stepmom wouldn't have budged if you didn't. Story 2. My kid, 12 male, was playing with a group of kids at recess, and one of them, 12 female, made some kind of reference to Santa Claus being real. My kid laughed and said, "You're joking, right?" The girl was not joking and got very upset when my kid and his friends were basically like, no dude, Santa's definitely not real. Apparently, they also shattered the illusion about Elf on the Shelf too. Well, I got an irate call from this girl's mom last night. She said my child has ruined Christmas and wants him to apologize and tell her daughter that he was lying about Santa because he didn't believe in the magic of Christmas anymore, but now sees the error of his ways. When I asked if her daughter has any special needs, she angrily told me no, she's neurotypical, but that she's just a girl who loves Christmas and is now heartbroken. I told her that, respectfully, what she's positioning is an insane idea and that it's unreasonable to expect 12-year-olds to maintain the Santa story with other 12-year-olds. She called me a Grinch, seriously, and hung up on me right after insisting she's going to take it to the school administration. When I talked to my son about it, he said he genuinely thought she was joking because all of his friends have known that Santa isn't real for years. He thinks it's super weird that she still believes or believed. I told him that I'll stick up for him and that I agree his classmate is too old to continue the fantasy, especially if she is neurotypical. My son confirmed that she's in his class and extracurriculars and seems to function like a completely average 12-year-old. But now I'm wondering if this isn't compassionate enough to other people's belief. I really do feel like 12 is way too old to sincerely believe in Santa unless there's some kind of cognitive development issues. And I think forcing my kid to say that he was wrong about Santa is absolutely ridiculous. My husband thinks he should at least apologize for not being sensitive, but I'm really stuck on how a 12-year-old with normal thinking skills could possibly still believe in Santa and think that, frankly, it was about time unless her parents thought she'd always believe. But I'm open to missing something here. Am I the a-hole? And bonus, was my son the a-hole for not playing along about Santa initially? Your son is not the a-hole, OP. The child was going to find out sooner or later that Santa isn't real. And since your son said he didn't say it to mock her, then he isn't an a-hole. However, I agree with your husband. I think your son should apologize for unintentionally hurting her. He can also explain to her that Christmas isn't ruined because there's no Santa. The child's mother could have handled the situation better, but so could you. A child should be allowed to believe that Santa is real without you thinking she has mental issues, even if you perceive her to be older. Now for some comments. Though I don't believe your child needs to apologize, as this is just a part of growing up, I do think you're being highly judgmental over this girl's development. I was 13 when I found out Santa wasn't real, told by my little cousin no less. Me and my sister just grew up in a family without a lot of money, and our parents wanted to do their best to keep the magic alive as long as possible. It's not your place to judge when someone should stop believing in something. No a-holes here. 12-year-old probably isn't a healthy age to still believe a fat man climbs down your chimney to bring you toys. Your son wasn't trying to be insensitive, and while the girl may have had her feelings hurt, I think that's on her parents for not keeping her up to date with reality. I also think Santa is a bit off to begin with, considering his gifts, which are supposedly based on your ability to be moral, are in actuality based on your parents' economic ability. Not a good lesson to be reinforcing at that age. I'd say you were an a-hole only to ask if her child has special needs. If the girl had or not, it doesn't matter. Your son hurt her feelings. And you're not being an a-hole by telling your son not to apologize. But your son is, because when you hurt someone, even if it wasn't your intention, you're supposed to say sorry. About the lying thing, some children are more childish than others. You have to respect that. If she's too young or too old for something, it's none of your business. She was going to find out anyway, and the mom shouldn't be upset because she found out the truth. Just saying sorry is fine. Knowing Santa Claus doesn't exist doesn't ruin Christmas. So you can try to fix it, because your son stopped the lie by explaining how to have a great Christmas and what Christmas is for. Story 3. My brother invited my family over for dinner. This happened a week ago. He does not approve of my lifestyle choice at all, often saying stuff like, "We need cow's milk." Why are you killing yourself? Stuff like that. I also don't care if people eat animal products, so I tried not to speak to him about it and said to me over the phone, "You can just deal with it, I'm making chicken." But I still wanted to see him, so I just took a soup over. When I was over, he was serving a chicken quiche and he tried to give me a plate and I just said, "No thanks, I brought a soup." So he took the plate back while I heated it up. When we were eating, he said to me, "Don't you want some quiche?" And I said, "No thanks." "But it's so good. I spent time and hard work on this." "I know you did. Mom seems to enjoy it, but I do not eat animal products. And I just would like to eat my soup. Can we talk about something else?" There was a bit of silence before he said, "You know, humans are made to eat meat." "That's cool," I said. "How's your iron levels?" "They are fine. Blood tests say so." "I really think you should eat this. You need the protein." "My soup has protein and I track my nutrition. I feel fine." He kept going, so I said, "Look, I find animal products gross. I don't want to eat it. Eating animal products makes me feel uncomfortable. There's more quiche for you and I'm fine. Stop trying to force animal products on me." He then got annoyed and went on that all vegans do is force their opinion and force veganism, and that I should just leave because clearly I don't appreciate him trying to keep my health, and that I'd probably collapse from B12 soon. My health is absolutely fine. I don't need any dietary help and is not exactly healthy anyway. I just thought it was overdramatic, so I just said goodbye and walked home. Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. Your brother is a colossal a-hole and a dick. He knows you are vegan and he shouldn't push his views on you. Who gives a shit if your mom likes something you don't want to eat? Sounds like he's trying to make everything about him. Like what OP said. What if other dietary restrictions were involved? Like if you were diabetic and he kept forcing desserts on you. As long as you're not leaving anything out, no. If you argue your side, then yes. I eat nutritiously for the 90% most part, but I would never ever force somebody to do the same. Nor would I refuse to be in the same room at the same table with somebody eating junk. Nor would I refuse to cook or prepare junk for somebody. My future husband is gonna get the works. I will give him the junkiest mac and cheese or whatever the F he wants. If this is how you go about your veganism, you're fine. As long as there is nothing left out. Your brother sounds like an a-hole for purposely making everything into a conversation about food. Cars turn to food, plays turn to food, music turns to food, jobs turn to food, purses turn to food. Your brother is the a-hole, you are not. First of all, he clearly doesn't get the irony when he says vegans just want to force their opinion because he sure isn't shutting up about his. Secondly, when inviting someone over for dinner, it's generally expected that you respect their dietary restrictions. He invited someone on a vegan diet over for dinner. He should have respected that. It seems rather that he wanted to start a confrontation with you. Your brother is being an a-hole, not just in this instance, but on this topic in general. I would suggest you stop humoring him at all. If he says shit about veganism again, call him out on him not shutting up about his opinion. If he asks you about your iron levels or anything to do with health, tell him that is none of his goddamn business. He doesn't actually care about your health in this regard. He's just being an ass.